All right, let's dive into a battery technology that is so groundbreaking, it's poised to change, well, just about everything we think we know about transportation. And it all kicks off with one heck of a bold claim.
Wow. I mean, that is a heavy statement. It sounds a little like hyperbole, doesn't it? But you know what? It's the core idea that has the entire trillion-dollar auto industry absolutely on edge. To really wrap our heads around this, we need a good analogy.
And this is it. This is the perfect way to think about it. The change that's coming isn't just a small step up. It's not just an incremental improvement. It's a fundamental shift that completely redefines what a car can even be. We are talking about a total paradigm shift.
So, to really get why this disruption is just around the corner, we first have to understand the built-in flaws in the batteries that are powering every single EV on the road today. It really all boils down to this one component. Every EV battery out there uses what's called a liquid electrolyte. Just think of it like the circulatory system for the battery's energy. And for the last decade, it's done its job pretty well, but it also has some really serious fundamental limitations. And here are those limits, the big three. First, we're basically maxed out on range. We physically can't cram any more energy into the space we have. Second, charge times. If you try to push electricity into that liquid too fast, it creates a ton of dangerous heat. That's the whole reason you're stuck waiting 30 or 40 minutes at a supercharger. And third, safety. Let's be real. That liquid, it's flammable, which creates a risk, however small, of some really intense fires if there's a bad crash.
But what if you could solve all three of those problems with one single, elegant change? Well, that is the solid-state promise. It's what engineers all over the world are calling the holy grail of battery technology.
Now, what's so cool about this is how simple the core idea really is. You just take out that problematic liquid electrolyte and you replace it with a solid material, something like a super thin piece of ceramic or special polymer. This one swap changes absolutely everything. The battery becomes safer, it's way more stable, and it unlocks a massive amount of performance.
So what does that performance actually look like? Well, first up, range. We are talking about up to 800 miles on a single charge. That is more than double what even the fanciest, most expensive EVs can do today. Range anxiety? Yeah, that would pretty much become a thing of the past.
Next, let's talk charging. Because you don't have that volatile liquid that can overheat, you can pump an incredible amount of power into these batteries and do it safely. We're talking about going from, say, 10% to 80% charge in under 10 minutes. That's a gas station stop. That's not a whole planned out lunch break. And maybe the most important point of all is this one: fireproof. The solid electrolyte is virtually inflammable. The source material for this actually notes you could literally puncture one of these with a metal spike and it wouldn't catch fire. This is just a monumental leap forward in vehicle safety. So, with advantages this huge, it's really no surprise that the race to be the first one to mass produce this technology is one of the most intense, high-stakes competitions on the entire planet right now. And here are the major players throwing their hats in the ring. You've got Toyota, which has been quietly racking up more patents than anyone. You have scrappy startups like QuantumScape, backed by Volkswagen, who are pioneering wild new materials. Then there's Solid Power, backed by Ford and BMW, who are being super clever and designing their batteries to be made on existing factory lines. And of course, you have the current kings of the battery world, the Chinese giants CATL and BYD, who are pouring billions into this to protect their dominance. Okay, so at this point, I know what you're probably thinking. This all sounds a little too good to be true. So let's get into the reality check. This is the obvious question, right? If this tech is the answer to everything, why isn't it already in all our cars? Well, the answer comes down to the huge, huge difference between building something in a lab versus building it in a factory. See, making one perfect solid-state battery in a pristine lab, that's one thing. Making millions and millions of them flawlessly on an assembly line, that's a whole other ballgame. There are some massive hurdles. The solid layers need incredible pressure to stay in perfect contact. They can sometimes develop these tiny little micro cracks over time. And right now, the special materials you need are still really expensive to make it scale. Now, these are all engineering problems, and believe me, they are being solved, but they are not trivial. So let's circle back to that wild idea at the beginning and talk about what this all really means for the future. The arrival of solid-state tech is nothing short of a complete and total reset for the entire industry. So will current EVs become obsolete literally overnight from a market standpoint? No, of course not. The rollout is going to take years. But, and this is the key, from a technological perspective, the argument is solid. The second, a competitively priced 700-mile EV that can charge in 10 minutes and is fireproof hits the market. The entire value proposition for every other EV on the road changes, just like that. And I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Solid-state batteries degrade way, way slower than the ones we have now. So what happens to the car industry, to the idea of ownership, to the very concept of a car's lifespan, when the most valuable part of the car is actually designed to outlast the vehicle it's in? It's a question that really shows you just how deep this revolution is going to go. Thanks for tuning in.